morning, church. This is indeed the day the Lord has made. Now, despite my matching colors with your choir, there is no chance you're going to mistake me as being one of them, because I was raised as a Catholic, and social justice Catholic, in fact, which is why I'm here today. But I'll get to that, but I want to thank Reverend Dr. Johnson for making me feel so part of this family. And we did have a visit. I came by, and of course, he asked me for more money. As I would expect him to do. He's doing his job. And First Lady Johnson, I want to thank you. And she made an observation that I said to my husband literally a few minutes before. I said, "This is the greatest choir you're ever going to hear." And the First Lady said, "Yeah, the choice is you either go to Broadway or you go to a Baptist church." I said, "Thank you for saying no to Broadway, all of you." Because clearly we benefit from your voices. It sounds like God's angels here on earth, and so uplifting and so beautiful to walk in, as I have many times. We have some incredible individuals here. I mean, for you to have Loretta Lynch, I mean, what a national leader, a national treasure she was as the Attorney General of the United States of America. Under some really challenging times, but she led with that strength and that compassion for our nation and the people she fought for. So I thank her and her family for being here today. We also have another fighter to keep people safe, and that is our Attorney General, our District Attorney, Alvin Bragg. Alvin Bragg. Who knows? Maybe he'll be an Attorney General someday, too. We just have to change the occupant of the White House. And I'm not going to get political, but you know what I'm saying. But he has been a great partner in bringing forth ideas to us in the legislature and myself on how to make our streets safer, and they are safer. Crime is down to record lows, particularly here in Manhattan, and I give him so much credit, as well as our NYPD. And another partner in government is Jordan Wright, our Assembly member. He's doing an incredible job already, making a difference. His voice on behalf of this community is so important. And Yusuf Salam, our council member, thank you for sharing, bringing your story to light about how unjust our justice system can be, but to turn that into a powerful story of returning to the community and becoming a leader. I thank you for everything you have done. Thank you. Former Borough President Virginia Fields is here as well. What a credible woman of strength in leadership. Virginia, a real trailblazer. Thank you. And there's one person before I begin I must acknowledge. My soulmate, since we were college age, working for the New York State Assembly as interns. And that is my husband, William Hochul. Your very first ever first gentleman, because you never had a woman governor, you got a first gentleman, so please stand up. He has his own story, and someday you'll want him to speak, because I believe he's a better public speaker than I am. He spent many years, 30 years, at the Department of Justice, fighting terrorism and gangs and restoring civility and safety to our streets in Western New York, where he's from. And Barack Obama recognized that and made him a United States attorney as well. So thank you for your service. I remember coming here. I had been governor about 2.5 weeks, unexpectedly. You know the story. Back in August of 2021, I came here back in early September. And I will tell you this, my friends, it was intimidating. I had come here as lieutenant governor, sat out there, someone would say my name, was very nice, but I never got invited up to this space. I was like, okay, Dr. King spoke here, Senator Warnock was here. I mean, the names that went on and on and on, Adam Clayton Powell and others. And I said, what's a formerly poor working class girl whose father and grandfather were steel workers near a steel plant in Buffalo. What is she going to say to this crowd? And I just decided to let you know who I was and what motivates me and why I'm so privileged to have what is the highest honor of my life. I never could have dreamed of this, especially starting with the humble background I had. We grew up, my parents lived in a trailer park. So when I think about fighting for housing for people, the dignity of a home, that goes back to that story. As it got a little bigger house, not much bigger, and as I mentioned, we're Catholic, we had 6 kids. I don't know how my parents did it, but my parents raised us as social justice Catholics. And so, yes, I lived in an attic with no heat in Buffalo. So don't complain about the cold here. I've got stories better than that. But we had a space heater. Thank God we had a space heater. I shared that attic with my brothers. And it's a little awkward when you're a teenage girl with these younger brothers, but you know, you just did what you had to do because that's all the space my parents had. But we always were taught, no matter how little we had, and we were buying our clothes at used clothing stores, that we had to give to others. So my parents would scoop us all up and take us into the harsher streets of the city of Buffalo and teach us what service was all about. We always had kids from the city staying with us. We had no room, but we were told to sleep on the floor so these kids who needed a shot at a better life and a chance to see what a safe, loving family was all about because they had been denied that in their own lives. My parents wanted us to be those role models. And they marched in the civil rights movement. And I'm proud of that. They protested the Vietnam War. My father's brothers were fighting in Vietnam, but we knew it was an unjust war we must stand up to. But I'll also tell you this on this particular weekend. Dr. King means something to me, not as an adult politician, but I was a 3rd grader who wrote a book report on him while he was still alive, because my family was teaching us about this great man who had come to Buffalo at one time, and he touched so many of us and told his story, so I embraced it. And the night we found out that he was assassinated, I believe it was April 4th, 1968, I was 10 years old. We sat around the dinner table and held hands, and we wept. My parents were so distraught that this great leader was gunned down. And just a few months later, we lost Bobby Kennedy, another voice for justice and putting the spotlight on the poverty that was so prevalent, not just in cities, but in rural areas where people lived unseen. And he made sure we saw them. So when you think about why I fight for housing, when they cut off the SNAP benefits just a few months ago, I came up here and tried to bring food and hope to families that were struggling. I know what it's like when you're eating cans of Spam for dinner and lots of pancakes, because that's how you spread the paycheck to go around that my dad brought home. So it means something to me. And I'm looking at this beautiful little child here. My gosh, she's the finest dressed baby I've ever seen in my life. I said to my husband, she's so adorable. And he says, and we're grandparents now, he says, and she's so well behaved. But sweetheart, I'm fighting for you to make sure you have affordable child care so you can get a better start in life and take care of all of our babies and our grandbabies. That's why these fights are personal to me. And also the reason my dad could get out of working at the steel plant in that home in the trailer park and do better in life, he was able to get a college degree while he worked at the steel plant. And that changed our trajectory forever. So when I say as governor, I want people to have free community college so they can go into careers like healthcare and education and support their families, it means something because I know it unlocks the door to opportunity, not just for that generation, for this generation as well. I've got a whole agenda, but I'll give you a piece of paper with all my plans. But for purposes of today, I feel like I've been called to answer Dr. King's question that he posed at Ebenezer Baptist Church 2 months before he was assassinated. He said, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? And I never forgot that. I try to live that every single day and know that I am called by the scriptures that I was raised on, Jesus Christ, to look out for those who've been in prison and those who are homeless and those who are hungry and those who are lonely. That is part of who I am as your governor. And that is why I am so motivated and fired up to fight injustice. And lastly, and I know you have other speakers, but I have to say this in my heart. I never thought I'd see what is happening to our country, what is happening right now. And I think about the struggles, and you think about the struggles that are talked about in that beautiful song, Lift Every Voice and Sing. Reminder of what our ancestors, your ancestors, went through. Those struggles. Today, we have people struggling because they're in fear. They're too afraid to go to church because an ICE agent may take them out of this place and take them to a detention center, separating them from their families. That's what's happening in America today. So I have said, in my State of the State, no ICE agent can come into a sacred place like a church or a hospital or a daycare center or a school without a warrant signed by a judge. You will not violate this sacred space. And if you cross the line, if you deny someone their constitutional rights, you should have a right to sue them in court. We're not surrendering our rights. People have fought too long and hard to get us here today, and we're not going backwards, my friend, not now and not ever. So I thank you for standing strong with me on this journey, because just as we look back at the struggles of the past and analyze that history, the history of our country 250 years ago, people look back at this time and say, where were you? Where were you and where was your voice? Did you stand up and fight this injustice? Did you defend our country and fight for democracy? And my friends, the answer must be a resounding yes. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Abyssinian. God bless every one of you. Thank you. Thank you.